The city slept, shrouded in a haze of neon and rain. Not him. He was awake, always awake. A shadow moving through the labyrinthine alleys, a ghost in the machine. His name, meaningless, his mission, everything. He was the city's silent guardian, its unseen protector. Tonight the stakes were higher than ever. Tonight he played a deadly game against an enemy who thrived in the shadows. His objective: retrieve vital intelligence scattered across the city in dead drops. Each drop a piece of the puzzle. A puzzle that could bring down a corrupt empire known only as the House. The House. A whisper, a legend. They moved in silence, their tendrils reaching into every facet of society. Politicians, judges, corporations, all puppets dancing on their strings. They thought they were untouchable. He would prove them wrong. The information he sought was their undoing, their Achilles heel. And he, the instrument of their destruction. This city, his city, was drowning in their corruption. It was time to stem the tide. Tonight, he was the storm. The first dead drop, a hollowed-out book in a dingy bookstore. He slipped in, a phantom among the dusty shelves, his eyes scanning for the mark. Found it. The book felt cold, lifeless, yet it pulsed with a hidden energy, the energy of truth. He pocketed the data chip concealed within, a tiny sliver of hope in this ocean of shadows. Next, a nondescript bench in a crowded park. Children laughed, oblivious to the silent exchange happening under their noses. He swapped a seemingly discarded cigarette pack for another, identical in every way but for the deadly secret it held. Each drop brought him closer, the tension ratcheting up with every heartbeat. The city felt alive tonight, its pulse echoing his own. Or was it just the adrenaline coursing through his veins? He moved like a phantom, always one step ahead, blending with the shadows. Each location, a calculated risk, every move precise, deliberate. He couldn't afford a mistake. Not tonight. The house had eyes everywhere. One wrong step, one slip-up, and he'd vanish, swallowed whole by the city's underbelly. But fear was a luxury he couldn't afford. He had a job to do, for the city, for himself, for the ghost of a life he left behind. The house. They were like a cancer, slowly eating away at the city's soul. Their influence was everywhere, a suffocating presence that choked the life out of everything it touched. They manipulated markets, rigged elections, silenced dissent. They were the puppet masters and the citizens, their unwitting puppets. The data he carried was explosive, evidence of their crimes, their betrayals, their absolute disregard for human life. This wasn't just about exposing their corruption. It was about reclaiming the city, tearing it from their grasp. He had seen what happened to those who dared to defy the house. They vanished, erased from existence, their stories buried in unmarked graves. He knew the risks, knew the price of failure. But some lines, once crossed, could not be uncrossed. He had seen too much, knew too much. Turning back was not an option. He was in too deep. The die already cast, the weight of the city, of its people, rested on his shoulders. He wouldn't let them down. He couldn't. Section 4, ticking clock, mounting pressure. Time was his enemy. He could feel its relentless march, each tick of the clock pushing him closer to the edge. The house was cunning, resourceful. They would have anticipated his moves, predicted his every step. He had to be faster, smarter, always one step ahead. The final dead drop. A rooftop overlooking the city's glittering skyline. The air was thick with the scent of rain and danger. This was it, the culmination of his mission, the moment of truth. He could feel his heart pounding in his chest, a drumbeat urging him forward. He was close, so close, but something felt wrong. The air was too still, the silence too profound. He could sense eyes on him, watching his every move. He was walking into a trap. He knew it, but it was too late to turn back now. He had come too far, sacrificed too much. He had to see this through to the end. For the city, for himself, for the promise of a dawn free from the house's suffocating grip. Section 5, dance with the devil. He stepped onto the rooftop, his senses on high alert. The city sprawled beneath him, a tapestry of light and shadow, and then he saw them. Two figures emerging from the darkness, their faces obscured by the shadows. They moved with a practiced grace, their eyes cold, calculating. "We've been expecting you," one of them said, his voice a low growl. The house always knows. He knew then that he had walked into their trap, but he had come too far to surrender. He had to fight, even if it meant facing impossible odds. He was ready, his body a weapon honed by years of training. He would make them pay for every inch of ground. "Let's finish this," he said, his voice a whisper lost in the wind. The dance had begun, a deadly waltz between predator and prey, with the fate of the city hanging in the balance. He moved with a speed that belied his size, dodging and weaving, striking with deadly precision, but they were good, too good. 2. Section 6. Checkmate or be checked. He fought with the ferocity of a cornered animal, but they were relentless, their attacks coming in waves. They had him outnumbered, outmaneuvered. He was running out of time, out of options. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a flicker of light caught his eye. A helicopter, its blades slicing through the night sky. It was his only chance. He had to get to it. He broke free from their grasp, his lungs burning, his vision blurring. He could hear the whir of the helicopter blades growing louder, closer. He made a desperate lunge for the edge of the building, his fingers grasping for purchase. He could feel their hands on him, pulling him back into the darkness. But he held on, his grip fueled by adrenaline and desperation. And then he was falling. The city lights blurred into a dizzying kaleidoscope. He hit the roof of the helicopter with a bone-jarring thud. Strong hands reached down, pulling him inside. He collapsed onto the cold metal floor, gasping for breath. As the helicopter soared into the night sky, he looked back at the city, its lights twinkling like a million fallen stars. He had escaped, but at what cost? The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The house was still out there, lurking in the shadows, but he would be ready for them. He had to be. The fate of the city depended on it.